afternoon, internet land. Once again, we're going to try to do this. This is what happens when you do a live feed and you have to rely on internet, and internet is not so stable. So we have on the entrepreneur's journey today, Damion Young. He is the CEO of Homegrown Produce, and he was in the middle of telling us about the start to his entrepreneurial journey. Now, if you don't know Damien, he is a son of Clarendon and
Yeah.
he is into agribusiness because we're featuring businesses in agriculture this month. And he also has a passion for social impact. So he actually is involved in two enterprises, one for profit and one for impact. The one for impact is the Central Jamaica Social Development Initiative, CJSDI, and this is where this organization provides training and development support for persons, young persons from Clarendon to get into agriculture, to get into farming. And he also is the CEO of Homegrown Produce, which is a marketing and distributing agro-business. So I will allow Damien to just quickly recap and tell you why it is that he ended up into distributing and marketing of agricultural products. And then we'll get a little bit more into the backstory about his entrepreneurial journey. Let's go, Damien. Try this again.
I'm delighted to be on your program, Kira. And again, I want to quickly commend JBDC and, on this vision that your team has embarked on to showcase entrepreneurs. I very quickly want to tell you that Homegrown Produce, as you rightly said, it's a distribution organization. But more than that, we see ourselves as a bridge between farmers and the market. The fact of the matter is, a lot of times farmers grow their crops and they simply have nowhere to offload the crop. And many times you see them either rotting in the field or they have to use it to feed animals. And this is sad, and it breaks my heart in particular, because I am aware of what goes into making a farm successful. I am aware that farming really requires, apart from chemical and fertilizer application, it requires a lot of human resource. It requires a lot of time, hard labor, back-breaking labor in many instances, not to mention water, irrigation. And so when a farmer has invested so much, especially even in climate challenge situations where there's little or no rainfall, but they buy the truckloads or the van loads of water and irrigate their farms. And then the crop comes in and they have nowhere to sell it. It breaks my heart. And as a result of that, we saw the need to look at how we can play a role in solving that challenge, and also make some business out of it. And so the bottom line is we set about in 2015 to start Homegrown Produce. In fact, that's one part of the story. If you don't mind, I'll tell you the other part. The other part of the story is the fact that Central Jamaica, which is the other enterprise, as you mentioned, we are really an organization that look at empowering persons, providing training and development support to vulnerable groups, youth, women, and also farmers. And this organization was started around 2013, June 2013. And CJSDI's main aim, really, at the time, we were looking at a particular project, working with a youth group as one of our target participants. And we were actually looking at doing some agriculture work with a cohort of youth. And the thing is, along the way, we were really training them how to grow legumes, red peas in particular. And we had made contact with a particular government agency to find out if there's a market for this crop. And they did say there was. Incidentally, when the crop was about to mature and be harvested, we called who we were told to contact. And that person said, boy, one, they don't require so much peas because we had like 5 acres of peas coming in. And two, what we were proposing to sell the peas at, which is as a local crop, it would fetch more than imported peas. So he said to me, what we are proposing to sell him the peas at, there's no way he's going to buy that. But worse, he doesn't even require so much peas. And here we were looking at the fact that the peas was to be harvested from the farm in a couple weeks, and we have no market for the peas. So it's at that stage, I said to myself, boy, we might as well find a way to market these peas ourselves. And so that is the other way in which homegrown produce evolved. And since then, we have been trying to make significant inroads in the market space. I'm happy to tell you up front that today we are producing and distributing perhaps 5 main products. And I'm happy to say that we are in every major supermarket island-wide, Mega Mart chains, high-low chains, Shoppers Fair, which is also Progressive Grocers. We're also in Los Ocean, in Barbican, and General Foods, both the one in Oceres as well as the one in Ligani. And we are also in John R. Wong, plus a number of Chinese wholesales and supermarkets. And we keep trying to acquire more market space. Your mic is mute, by the way. Good.
That's a very wide distribution. I was just saying that's pretty much all over Jamaica. And I remember yesterday when we were speaking, you said that it wasn't. We are hearing the glory of that, the success of that. But when the reason Homegrown came about is that, as you said, you could not get the products that were generated from the CJSDI initiative sold as you thought you would. Now, I want us to stick with this point a little bit because the entrepreneur's journey is to help highlight how it is that individuals who are entrepreneurial overcome challenges, and that is a significant challenge that you encountered that a lot of other farmers or persons who enter into agro-based businesses from the production end will find. The supply and demand thing is so unpredictable. You have no control over that. But then there's also the issue of just finding markets, finding the appropriate customers, for your products. And a lot of people would have stopped at that point in time, but you didn't. Tell us what you did. You went from door to door. Tell us about that part of it.
Kira, as you asked that question, once again, if I'm not careful, it brings back tears to my eyes, because I remember at the stage when the crops was about to be reaped, and we saw that the bottom fell out of the whole marketing opportunity because the way how the person from a particular agency had said it, this person at the airport needs so much peas, and the person has to feed so many clients and what have you. So we thought that was a direct deal. And a done deal. No, after that conversation with that prospective buyer, and I thought about what to do, and we set about trying to see if we could actually market this ourselves. I must tell you that I was also employed in a government service job at the time. And so I was using CJSDI as a way to really assist with some of the social issues that were being encountered in society. So, and by extension, I should tell you that with CJSDI, I was coming from an agency of government that did a lot of projects and programs. And when the contract ended with that particular government entity, I wanted to continue making an impact amongst vulnerable groups, as I said. And so that's how CJSDI started. Now, the reality is I had still landed work with another government company after forming CJS there. And subsequently, whilst working at that government entity, Homegrown Produce was born, but very low key. Now, when the crops came in, and we know that we had to help the young people with the market, I remember times when I was leaving my work at this government agency in Maypen, Clarendon, in the evening at around 4:35, and I was driving into Kingston and elsewhere with peas in my car trunk, going from supermarket to supermarket, asking them if they would try this Jamaican peas. There were times when I go to a store all 6 times, and they would say, boy, they have so much peas already, they don't need no peas. Convincingly, I try to explain that this peas is the only Jamaican packaged red peas that you're going to encounter. And I would list the benefits, and persons still say, we're not interested. I remember the first store that we got into. It was this store in Ligani, General Foods. And I can't forget the nice lady, Miss Chen, said to me, it really looks good, and I like how the grains are nice and red and round and what have you. And she said she would try it. And so for a couple of weeks, we were delivering peas to that store alone. And then I remember one time, someone working there, a very good man named Neville, I'll never forget Neville. He called me around to the back of the supermarket, and he said, Mr. Young, Mr. Say, yeah, try. And Mr. Say, yeah, try help the youth then. But let me tell you something. You need to make a work and then pick the peas a little bit better. Too many bad grains in it, too many trash in it. And for the first time, I take a good look and realize that I really needed to have them pick through a little cleaner. And but that was a telling moment for me, because I just wanted to get the peas out there at the time. I wasn't even looking at how well it was being picked and sorted. But Neville worked with me. Neville said, make sure that they pick it and not even a cracked grain should be in the bag.
At the beginning of your quality assurance standards.
At the very beginning. We are friends up until today, after roughly 5 or 6 years later. He's someone that I deeply admire. And the fact of the matter is, today, I can say that, we have moved on to a couple of the stores, but it was not easy. I remember when I went to, for instance, Progressive Grocers a couple times. Well, I've had to go on there until one day we were fortunate enough to get an interview on a local TV station. And when I went back to the store another time to check them out, the young lady said, you know what, we'll give it a try. I think I saw this product on TV. And after that, she gave it a try. And we are blessed that we are able to be in all of the chains of shoppers here and the produce.
That's excellent. So tell me now, you have been in business for what, from 2015, you said, with Homegrown, and 2013 from CSJ. What is your vision for Homegrown at this point?
My vision for Homegrown Produce is to be a leading distributor, processor / distributor of Jamaican products. Is to see our farmers producing in such a confident way, because they have a market, they have a sure market, a market that will take their produce not just locally but also internationally, and taking the produce locally and internationally at the highest quality and highest standard. That's my vision for Homegrown Produce. Moving from just the production of and packaging of legumes. So luckily, by God's mercies, we have been able to move into dealing with sweet potatoes, yams, honey, castor oil, but I really would like to see homegrown produce being such a leading and strong Jamaican entity, taking the Jamaican foods to all corners of the globe.
And tell me, how is it? What is the underlying key for success for that vision being realized?
Well, I believe one of our strongest underlying key is our faith in God. We believe is always able to guide us and to see us through. Another one is really good and reliable partners, staff. I believe we have some of the most committed people at Homegrown Produce. For instance, Nikisha Jarrett has been with us from the very beginning when we just started in 2015, and she's still with us and is one of our most committed worker, staff member. Also, Lisa and Christopher Forbes, I mentioned them because they are people who, without them, we really wouldn't have a homegrown produce. And I'm grateful for the team that we have. And as we continue to find ourselves, reaching more and more markets and build out on our staff, I know that we will always make an effort to attract people who love Jamaica, love Jamaican produce, and want to see the best for our farmers, who are one of our key partners.
All right, so Damion, there are a lot of people, and even right now, there's a strong drive and encouraging message, like a pulling message to the Jamaican public to invest in agriculture, go into agri-based business. But yet still at the beginning of your our conversation, you just pointed out like the one of the biggest issues that most persons experience at the producer level. And I saw Bev, I think it's Bev Campbell in the chat also saying yes, she's experiencing a similar issue. What makes you able, I know you have done it, so tell us what it is that has made you able to move past that and be able to have a vision that sees you not just conquering the local market as you have already started to do, you're widely distributed nationally, but what is it that you are doing differently? What is the approach that you are taking that enables you to do this and even now see yourself going regional and international?
That's a very good question, Kira. And the fact of the matter is, you have to love what you're doing. You have to be so inflamed with a passion and a purpose. You have to be driven by your purpose, know what it is that you want to bring to the table as a solution. You have to know what is it that you want to leave as a lasting solution, as your legacy. And once you identify that, you have to be determined. You have to be really, really determined, and you have to be consistent. As I said, I really recognize the value of consistency and determination, because like I tell you, if I was someone who gave up easily, when I started knocking on doors and going to supermarkets, even in the late evenings, sometimes I ask for meetings and them cancel even before I reach there. And when I go there still, I have to just countenance disappointment and tell myself psychologically, I'll just go back again. I can tell you that I've gone to stores in some instances up to 6 times. And that doesn't include the number of phone calls that I've had to make. I'm saying that you have to be very, very determined about it once you know what is it that you're trying to accomplish.
You said something, I'm sorry to cut you, but I wanted to expound on something that you said just before that point. You said solution. You said make sure that you have highlighted a solution that you're bringing. And I
Yes,
want to know what
because
that means from your perspective in this from an agri-based business? What does bringing a solution mean? Because as the plain truth is, we heard it in the dialogue conversation. People think about agriculture as farming. What kind of solution are you talking about?
And I'm talking about the primary solution of, of the replacement of Jamaican products with imported products. I'm talking about the fact that in our country, we are importing 95% of a basic crop as peas into our island. And we're importing this crop from Belize, we're importing it from Canada, United States, Brazil. And the truth is, we can grow red peas in Jamaica. I used to grow, my grandmother and grandfather used to grow red peas, and we as children used to go and help plant, help harvest, and also help them take it to the market. This is something we grow on. And I'm saying, now as an adult, I am hurt when I see the amount of imported foods coming into our country. When I did the research, I was learning that we were spending up to 1 billion Jamaican dollars just on importation of peas alone. I'm not talking about the other billions on other foods into our island. And so I single out this one crop and say, if I can at least help to break the back of the importation of this one crop, someone else will take on other crops, like the potato chips and the other chips and the tomato paste and the pineapple puree, all of
We want
those.
to beat the table, Damion. We can beat the table. I just say them things here.
Yes.
And you are
And
so right. Exactly. You know, I want us to make the point, to really highlight the point that you're making, that import substitution is another way of saying, and I asked the question about creating a solution, but it's really saying that you said it more specifically the other day, marketing, use marketing data. Don't just go and farm what you didn't know for farm from your little boy and little girl or whatever the case is. Use data, use demand data to drive what kind of crops you go into.
that's a
Yes.
good, very good point, because a lot of times, and you see it happening with the farmers in St. Louis, a lot of times they plant and tell you that, boy, I grew up and see my father planting tomato, and so I planting tomato. I grew up and see my father um, planting pumpkin, so I'm planting pumpkin too. And the fact of the matter is, they're not looking at the fact that nearly everybody else around them planting that same crop. And so
Exactly.
then, so when everybody crops coming at the same time, then we have the glut, and
The
then they
glut.
complain that they can't get the market.
Mhm.
And at the same time, the very land that they are planting on, it could grow gongo, it could grow peanut, it could grow peas, it could grow a number of other crops. And there are a host of other crops, including onions, including garlic, which are in very scarce supply in our island. And
Garlic
the
from
farmers,
China.
yes, and many farmers are not looking at that. And we have to be taking these crops from places, as I said, like from China. We are not even sure the quality or the standard by which they are growing these crops. And yet we have them here. And we have vast acres of hide lands in our country. Look at the
And,
acres of lands in Clarendon that sugarcane used to be planted on, or the
and you
lands in
see,
or in St. Catherine.
you said the data thing as well, just reminding people that when we say getting the data, it don't mean just get a earset like what you did here when you start CJ, the initiative for social impact, and them tell you say them have a market. Even though
Yes,
you thought you were getting it from a reliable source, you
yes,
need to actually get data. Data
yes,
that can be validated by some
yes,
numbers to say this is the demand, this is the price, and
yes,
this is the level of consistency that the demand is in before you go and invest, so you know what level of investment to get into.
yes.
Damian, because the time is winding down, I don't mean to cut you. I know we have a leap to talk, but as I say, if it's too nice, we have to do it twice. But let us see how much we can squeeze out of this moment, this once in a time moment that we have.
Yes.
Tell me something. I think you said it about determination and so on. But if you were to give any bit of advice to young persons. We're driving at the call for young women or young people and youths and women to get into agribusiness, agro-based businesses. What would be the most important thing that you would say to them that could influence their success or influence them even just trying to get here?
You know, this might sound strange to anybody, but I am going to say one of the key things that you must have in forefront of your mind is not so much that you're seeking to set out to make money, to make millions right away. I would like you to really consider, first of all, you know, how you can make a lasting impact, a type of solution that you can bring that you're passionate about. Consider what is it that you would like to see change. For example, someone walks around and see plastic bottles on the ground all over the place. And that person decide that they can use the plastic bottles and transform them into carpets, cut them up, make carpets, and make coveralls and what have you. Somebody thought about the trunk of the banana tree and said to himself, we use a banana tree to make carpets. I'm saying, first of all, see if you can start with a solution in mind, with solving a problem in mind, something that you're passionate about, something that gives you fulfillment. And I believe that once you find yourself embarking on a course that will bring you some sort of fulfillment, that yes, I've solved this problem, then the money will come, the finances will come, even help will come, right? Partnerships will come. But I say start with the goal of solving a problem first.
Hmm. That reminds me of the whole statement about providence favoring the bold, favoring the brave. It's about really being clear about what it is that you want to leave, as you say, that impact, that legacy, and then just moving with determination and consistency. That word, you've used that word so much in the conversation, consistency, having to stick to
Absolutely.
it, to it.
Yes.
I'm gonna allow, I see some comments coming in the chat. If you have any questions, guys, whether it's social, whether here in the Zoom, please pose them today now because we're wrapping up, we're winding down, coming down to the close. So we're getting some affirmative comments here, Damian, very interesting. And yes, reiterating data driving initiatives and so on. Um, in this conversation, we have not really explored or looked at some of the major challenges that are faced in the agricultural sector and in agribusiness. For a reality check, what are some of the things you tell people who are coming into this sector to look out for from a business perspective, from a technical perspective?
You know, I tell persons, especially farmers, young farmers, and even established farmers too, you know, try and make your prices competitive. You know, a lot of farmers, they grow their crops and at the drop of a hat, they want to increase prices. And when they make their prices unstable, unreliable, for example, this week you're buying, say, gongo at $50 a pound for argument's sake. And a week and a half down the road, you go to them for gongo, they tell you, boy, they're selling it at 250. I'm saying to persons who are looking to go in the industry and persons who are already there, make your prices competitive and as stable as is possible. That's one of the key things that will
And you're
allow for
saying this
success.
because it's possible. You're saying it's possible because I've heard feedback that, boy, it's because they have so much fluctuation in the costs why they can't keep the price stable. So are you saying that it is possible to keep it stable?
There is going to come a time when you'll have to increase your price, no doubt about that. But you know, you can't keep jumping your prices at the drop of a hat. Because I'm telling you about something that you're experiencing now. I'm telling you about farmers that you have in your network that one moment they tell you that the price for X crop is Y, and the next moment you call for the product, they tell you that it is something else, and it's like they keep moving. What that does, and yes, it is possible to keep it stable because you can find there is a point, a pricing point that farmers can identify that will allow them to make a profit and a meaningful profit, and at the same time remain competitive. And it's important to find that price point, because if you allow for your pricing strategy to be erratic, and fluctuate willy-nilly, you're going to allow for such instability in the marketplace. You can possibly wipe out your market for future buying, right? Because you really can't go to supermarkets and say to them, boy, I was selling you a pack of peas for argument's sake for $100. And then next week it's $200 and the other week it's $300 and so forth. They will tell you that, it's easier for them to just import and package imported. So there has to be some semblance of understanding about pricing and the need to be balanced, to be fair, and to be stable. That's one of the key things.
Okay. All right. So that's the most. What about value added, like exploring beyond just production?
Yes, very, very important also. When you think about Jamaican products, Jamaican foods, there are so many things that can be done with them. You think of breadfruit, you can have breadfruit chips, you can have breadfruit flour, right? The same thing for sweet potato. Sweet potato is now one of my favorite crops, right? Someone gave me baked sweet potato the other day. I usually have it roast or boiled. I tell you, say, baked in the foil is a nice way to have sweet potato. You can actually pre-process your sweet potato, vacuum pack it, and have it sold on the marketplace. You can do the same thing for yams. There are different ways that you can prepare Jamaican products, Jamaican crops, and have them out in the people value Jamaican foods. Jamaican foods is still the best in the world. And so I would encourage everyone who is looking to go into agribusiness, look at how you can keep your prices stable, look at how you can put value-added products out there. Look at new ways of producing so that you can keep your costs down. Look at involving technology in your production. Look at involving irrigation methods very early out. Those things will help you to maintain and control prices, and those things will also help your consistency in production. Irrigation, proper soil management, proper harvesting techniques, additional technology. Rather than going out there, the fork and the hoe, you can look at acquiring lands for lease or purchase, and that can use tractors to plow. When you do that and invest like that in your farming, you're taking it seriously and you're going places.
Damion, I'm so not wanting to end this conversation, but we have to. We'll have to move on. It's been a wonderful dialogue. It's been a wonderful.
I didn't want to tell us something about the Central Jamaica initiative.
Sorry?
But I did want to tell you.
Oh, well, yes.
But maybe another time.
Yes, as we said, we might have to do it twice. Really appreciate everything that you had to share this afternoon. Thanking everyone who has joined us for the session this afternoon. I hope you found it useful and informative and also inspiring because there was quite a bit of things that Damion said about his journey where challenges were concerned that would and how he overcame them that would, I think, inspire us on the other side listening to, question our motivation and what it is that is driving us towards. But even if you're not in agribusiness, whatever endeavors you're pursuing, I expect to see that vision that you have described come true, and I'm looking forward to having another conversation with you when that does happen, to hear how that aspect of the journey from here to there actually transpired and unfolded. So thank you so much for your time today, Damien, and apologies for all of the glitches, it's technology and all of that earlier on, but it was so worth it in the end. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to having another talk with you soon.
And thank you very much for having me. You are a very, very great.
You're most welcome, David. Talk soon.
Take care.